Good morning, brothers. Welcome to A Brown Bag Gentleman. And yes, we're doing another day. We're still working on the floor. Today's day 3. Day 2 was a little mold issue underneath the refrigerator where it was leaking, so I had to attend to that. All I did was go to Lowe's, buy a really nice, very effective mold killer stabilizer that's used for construction products and wood in particular. Doesn't clean the stain, but it's the subfloor, so it doesn't really matter. So I did that, kind of just, nothing really exciting. So I left that piece out. Today, what I did is I went along the face of the cabinets with no guard and just the diamond-edged saw, and just cleaned it up, got a little bit closer and cleaned it up because I was using the cutoff blade, which created a lot of smoke, hence the fan. Yeah, we'll turn that off for a minute. So yeah, and then today a little bit of smoke just from this cutting the flooring, because there is wood product in it, so a little bit. So yeah, I can smell smoky sawdust here right now. But I just basically have been using this tool. I was using a wider blade, and I was cleaning up edges. Now I need a smaller blade because I have to go sideways here, because I want a starting point for this saw to work. So these little vibrating saws, I forget what you call these things. Yes, I use the Craftsman. Do I care what brand I use? Not really. Do I care what brand you use? No. Harbor Freight to DeWalt, anything in between is fine. Basically, but the important part is when you use new tools, pick a brand. If you're using battery operated tools, pick a brand. I did Craftsman because I have a big old hunkin' Craftsman toolbox downstairs. Always wanted it for decades, wanted it and got it a few years back. My dad always had Craftsman tools growing up. Of course, the old style with radial arm saws and the big honkin' table saws and all that. And of course, wrenches. When Dad moved out and is in his retirement home now, I took two tools from Dad. I took one single Craftsman screwdriver, the old style, just because it was his, and then all the rest went to my boys. And then I took this little tiny pry bar, which is excellent for removing trim off the flooring. This thing just slips in nice and easy. I've got a modern trim removal tool as well, but this was Dad's, and well worn. You can see all the red paint's pretty much worn off it and all that. So yeah, so I took that, but why use the one brand of tools? Of course, the batteries. The batteries all match. That way, I only have I had like 3 batteries, but when I inherited some of Dad's tools, I got a couple more batteries, so I have 5 batteries now. But my goal was to have 3 batteries to interchange with tools, whatever I'm using. I probably have about 8 to 10 battery-operated Craftsman tools. Is Craftsman the best? No, it's a middle-of-the-road tool. Does it have the most options for tools? No, it really doesn't. Probably middle of the road there too. I know Ryobi has way more tools. If I was going in again and was less sentimental about it, I'd probably be choosing Ryobi. Then again, it's not a DeWalt and all that, but then again, it doesn't have the DeWalt battery prices either. These batteries are more middle of the road price-wise. You can afford them. That's kind of why I chose this brand. I was going to look at the Lowe's brand, but they're really both made by the same manufacturer, really. So, yeah, I got the red. It matches my toolbox. Okay, Big Wolf. That's kind of was my sentiment about it. So, yeah. So it matches my Craftsman toolbox where they are stored. But other than that, I'm just doing a little chopping on here. Once I get this piece out, the only other issues I have are, of course, this is the stove juice. That's a 240 volt, 60 amp service. I've already flicked the switch on it. I've already removed the plate. A single screw. Super easy. But I'm keeping it on for now just to keep the sawdust out of there. Two more screws remove that so I can basically cut out around it. And I'll probably use this tool to cut down on there so I don't cut the wire, because it's just don't want to do that. So I'll be very careful with that. And I'll run behind the refrigerator here. What you don't see is the air exchange, basically the vent. The vent, because we have an HVAC system here in North Carolina. So yeah, it blows hot or cold air depending on what season it is. So I'll remove that. It just pulls right out. And then when I lay in the floor, when I put in one piece, I will mark it out. And I'll go in with a RotoZip tool. I have one of those too. Old RotoZip from back with the 80s or 90s. Yeah, it's that old. And of course they make them nowadays too, and you can get them cordless now too. But I'll just zip inside that with that, and I'll just trim it out a little bit. Maybe one of these with a wider blade on it, just to keep it a nice smooth straight edge to put the register cover back on it to make it look nice. But that's kind of all the challenges I have ahead of me for the flooring. The rest of the flooring over there was all easy behind the refrigerator over there. It's all flush against the wall. There's nothing really to work around. The door jamb, I just pulled that out. And I'll be starting from that side because that's the door, because I'm laying this way. Of course, the length of the house goes this way, so all my floors go this direction. And that's how you choose that. I go length of the house, so my house is wider than it is deep, so it's a natural flow to go this way. So that's where the decision about what direction to lay the floors, that's what made the decision. That makes that door jamb over there a little tougher because I have to fit it in. The door jambs are already pre-cut because I had a tool. You can use one of these, but this tool with a cover on it, this is awesome. This RotoZip saw with a cover, basically with it laid on the top of the flooring, and it just undercut the door jambs. Superb, absolutely, highly recommend. If you're going to do more than 2 rooms in your house, buy the saw. Don't wimp out with a little hand saw thing. You will regret that. This does a much better job. Gets under there cleaner, and you can, with a little chisel too, if you need to, you can like get out extra little pieces. But this does a much nicer job than the little hand saw does. School of experience, just telling you from what I've learned. So with that, let's just make this one more cut here. Move my little blade off the other way. Turn this on. Oh, battery. Of course, this is one of my dad's batteries. It's got his initials on it. His family name was Peb. Noisy little sucker. Does have a little light on the front too, right there, which helps. They definitely do help. I never noticed how much a light helps on a tool until I got a tool with a light on it. Drills were first, and then tools like this. So yeah, it actually does help out. Yeah, I've got a light here on the stove or the microwave bottom that I've left on, but that cuts that out. And I'm not going to bore you with the rest of this cutting and the noise going along there. Just thought you'd be interested in the progress I'm making. I'm going to cut this out, and when I do, I'm going to stop because the refrigerator, see, it's right here. It's basically right there because I couldn't squeeze it through the door to put it in the dining room to get it out of my way. So my plan is to start flooring. After I cut this out, I'm going to, pick up the little debris and sweep and vacuum it all up. And then I'm going to start laying the flooring. And then after I made a little progress there, after I cleared the door jamb, made that because that might take me, usually with that complicated cut, I might mess up my first one. It's possible. But that's why you have 10% extra. And for my 10% extra, I didn't get extra because all I did was measure wall to wall, and not include this staying. So that's my extra 10% right there. So I got 6 boxes at 20 square feet per box, so that's 120-ish square feet, a little over, for this 10 by 12 room. So yeah, that's the size of my kitchen. And oops, I see that needs to be adjusted. I'm looking at the hinge from the angle here. I see it's sticking out a little bit. Small little adjustment I need to make to this little hinge. They're adjustable with a screwdriver, so no big deal there. But I just thought you'd like to see what I'm doing. And it really is not that hard. You guys can do this yourself instead of paying a professional big dollars. It just is not hard. I'm removing this floor, which is, a little more effort involved to do this piece. I removed trim, and I'll replace trim because I wanted to do it right. I didn't want to just quarter moon over when I could just replace the trim instead. Not a lot more for the trim, and I'd rather do it that way. I'm better peace of mind. I will quarter moon underneath here. That I will quarter moon, just because it'll cover up between the seam between the new floor and the old floor. So there's just layers like less than a half an inch of old floor, so that 3/4 inch wide quarter moon will cover that up, and I will of course angle down for my nails to go in, so they'll go into like the old floor in from an angle there and secure that into place. Might even, because it's a wet area underneath the sink, I'll probably caulk on top of it as well to take care of that finished piece. But you'll see how time goes, and we'll get this through. I'm here. I'm not really going to kill myself, take long days or anything to do this. I've got the time. My plan is to get up to here today on the flooring, so I can roll this to the other side, put it in its permanent position, and then continue on finishing the floor. That's my plan. So, and I'll need my buddy Steve across the street to help me move this back into place, or one of the guys from church, whoever's available. Jerry Davis, you might get a phone call. Alrighty guys, just wanted to show you and go with God.